Have you ever felt like your world started to shrink and the silence became unbearable? Many women panic and rush to fill this void with anything. But I need to warn you, trying to escape this isolation now is a fatal mistake. If you interrupt this process due to lack of resources, you will repeat even worse cycles. Today you will understand why silence is your only chance of survival. You know that kind of mistake you promised yourself you'd never make again in your life? If you can't handle the pressure of being alone today, you'll go back to him. Going back to the wrong people now will cost twice as much as last time. The loneliness that frightens you is, in fact, the hand of God pulling you out of the abyss. To interrupt what he has begun is to ask to relive the same pain repeatedly. In this video, I'm going to show you why this isolation is a severe call to action. Don't expect sweet words of comfort. Today's topic is the harshness of pruning. There is a level of womanhood that can only be born through prolonged solitude. If you feel out of place, don't think it's just a passing phase. It's war training, and whoever deserts in the middle of it never reaches the throne. Imagine appearing so dangerous to the system that it needs to isolate you to stop you. The world wants you to fear silence so that you remain enslaved. But the real danger isn't in being alone at home on a Saturday night. The real danger lies in accepting crumbs just to avoid facing your own soul. Stay with me until the end, because the decision you're going to make today is final. Before we go any further, I need you to be brutally honest with me here. Have you ever tried to escape loneliness only to end up in an even more toxic relationship? That, "Hey, long time no see," you replied just because you were feeling too empty? Write in the comments, "I've already paid a high price for running away from my legal process." Recognizing that taking a shortcut was a mistake is the first step to not going back. The first sign that you're going to be alone for a while is clarity. Seeing the truth behind the masks comes at a very high social price. You'll seem arrogant or conceited to those who don't understand your new level. People distance themselves because their silent presence exposes their deception. It's the cost of having eyes that no longer accept being deceived by appearances. Many people will say that you've changed, that you've become cold and boring. In reality, you just stopped laughing at jokes that aren't funny anymore. Being authentic in a world of copies generates an immediate and brutal misunderstanding. Prepare to be the topic of conversation for those you've decided to leave behind. Being alone is the filter God uses to separate those who honor you from those who envy you. Psychology explains that personal growth causes a sense of unease in others. Those who knew you in your nice and submissive version will hate your new attitude. They preferred you when you were easy to manipulate and have around. Now that you have standards, you'll seem like a burden to shallow people. Don't try to explain yourself. Those who don't understand your silence don't deserve your voice. This misunderstanding hurts, but it's what ensures that your circle remains pure. It's better to seem strange for who you are than to be loved for who you pretend to be. Prolonged solitude is the fertile ground where your new identity is definitively cemented. You'll look different even to your own family at certain times. It's the price of exclusivity. What is common is everywhere, what is rare is isolated. Have you ever been called stuck up just because you stopped participating in gossip? Or did you notice that the atmosphere became tense when you disagreed with a lie? This is the cost of your light bothering those who prefer to live in the shade. Add a lock emoji if you've decided to protect your soul today. Let's now understand the weight of leaving your old Moab behind for good. Ruth did not only have a happy ending, she had a bitter and lonely journey. She had to turn her back on everything that was familiar and comfortable to her. Often God isolates you because you wouldn't have the courage to go out alone. It allows the bridges to burn so that you have no way to go back. Ruth's solitude was the necessary desert between slavery and purpose. Letting go of the past requires a courage that borders on madness in the eyes of the world. Your old friends from Moab will think you've gone crazy and become a fanatic. They will try to lure you back in with promises of a safety that doesn't exist. But if you give in, you will die in the desert without ever seeing the promised land. Being alone is the loyalty test that determines who truly deserves to move forward. The void between who you were and who you are becoming is terrifying. It's a space where you no longer have the old support network, nor the new one yet. Many women give up here and return to Egypt just to have company. But Egypt remains a place of slavery, even though there are people there. Endure the void, for it is there that your dependence on God is tested to the limit. There is no transition without loss, and there is no growth without a certain amount of grief. You will cry for people you know no longer make sense in your life. Nostalgia will try to convince you that the past wasn't so bad after all. That's a lie. If it were good, God wouldn't be dragging you out of there so forcefully. Ruth's loneliness was what allowed her to be noticed by the landowner. Do you feel like you're living in this vacuum where nothing new is happening yet? It seems the doors of the past have closed, but are those of the future locked? This is the testing zone where most women give up and turn back. Write in the comments, "I'm not going back to Moab," to strengthen your spirit. Now let's see why its light bothers those who live a lie so much. Have you ever noticed that your mere presence seems to irritate certain people? Even if you say nothing, your radiance acts as a spiritual disinfectant. Those who live in the filth of lies hate the clarity of truth that you carry. Therefore, you will seem dangerous to those who want to keep up appearances right now. Being alone is the only way God can preserve the purity of your light today. The light is bothersome because it prevents people from continuing to deceive themselves. His pursuit of holiness and integrity is a painful mirror for those who are negligent. It's much easier to exclude you from the group than to admit that they need to change. Don't feel rejected. Feel selected for a higher level of life. Loneliness is the shield that prevents the cynicism of others from contaminating you. Spiritually, what is happening is a real-time battle of frequencies. You no longer tune into the radio station that broadcasts gossip, victimhood, and complaints. Since you no longer feed other people's egos, you lose your usefulness to them. People like those who are like them, not those who challenge them to grow. Be the odd one out, be the isolated one, but never accept dimming your light to fit in. The danger of trying to be accepted is that you may end up losing your connection with the divine. If you start speaking their language just to have company, you've lost your way. God would rather keep you alone than see you compromising your values for attention. Isolation is training you to shine on your own in the darkness. A lighthouse doesn't need other lighthouses around it, it only needs to stand steady. Have you ever felt that someone became uncomfortable just because you were there? As if your peace were a personal offense to that embittered person? This is the shock of his light in the darkness of those who do not want to be healed by God. Add a fire emoji if you're not going to let your guard down for anyone. Now prepare yourself, because divine pruning hurts more than any human rejection. Jesus is very clear. The Father prunes the branches so that they may bear even more fruit. But what nobody tells you is that pruning bleeds and leaves deep scars. It's not a delicate process. It's a clean cut in relationships you once loved. God removes people you thought were your emotional support today. Being alone after pruning is like being in an open operating room. Pruning hurts because it involves uprooting parts that were deeply rooted in your ego. These were friendships that gave you validation, but that drained your spiritual lifeblood. God sees the parasite you call your best friend and decides to intervene immediately. Post-pruning isolation is the time the wound needs to close and heal. If you try to glue back together what God has cut, the infection will kill your tree. Often, solitude is the only way for God to get your full attention. As long as you have someone to confide in, you won't seek his voice. He removes the intermediaries so that the conversation is just between you and him. It is a process of aggressive exclusivity that the Creator demands of the chosen ones. The desert is the place where you stop listening to the world and start listening to the King. Think of the tree in winter. It is bare, leafless, and seems abandoned by everyone. But it is in this state of absolute solitude that she gathers strength for the spring. Your spiritual winter phase is not a sign of death, but of reserve. God is saving your energy for a harvest you can't even imagine right now. Endure the pruning, endure the cutting, for the fruit that will come will be the sweetest of all. Have you ever suddenly lost someone who was your safe haven? Someone who simply disappeared or betrayed you when you needed support the most? That was God's scalpel cutting away what would have prevented you from growing in the future. Write in the comments, "I accept the pruning," to demonstrate your maturity. Now, beware of the temptation to beg for attention in order to stop this pain. The biggest mistake you can make right now is trying to ease the pain of pruning with crumbs. When hardship is rampant, any poison seems like a feast to someone who is hungry. Many women throw away years of hard work by going back to ex-boyfriends and bad friends. They interrupt God's healing process to accept the cheap anesthesia of neediness today. If you do that, you'll go back to the end of the line and have to repeat the whole process. Begging for attention is an insult to intelligence and to God's care for you. If He isolated you, it's because your current company was slowly destroying you. Don't try to convince anyone to stay. If the person wants to leave, open the door. Anyone who needs convincing to be in your life doesn't deserve your precious time. Your dignity should be greater than your desire to have someone to talk to. Lack of resources is the blind spot where the enemy sets the greatest traps for you. He knows you're vulnerable and will send angels of light with ulterior motives. These are people who seem nice but who come to steal what little strength you have left. Stay alone, stay silent, but don't let your guard down for any stranger. Isolation is your headquarters. Don't let anyone in without permission. Learn to enjoy the weight of your own silence without needing external noise. A woman who isn't afraid of being alone is impossible to manipulate now. When you don't need anyone, you become truly selective and powerful. Solitude is the shield that prevents you from selling yourself for any compliment. Maintain your queenly posture, even if your castle is empty at the moment. Have you ever felt that urge to call someone you know is no good, just to hear a human voice and escape the deafening silence of your home? Resist with all your might, for this connection is your passport to the past. Write "I am not a beggar" in the comments to reinforce your true worth. Let's see now how Esther used her time in isolation to change a nation. Esther was not chosen by chance. She was prepared in isolation and silence. She spent months being treated with oils and perfumes before seeing the king. Your solitude today is your period of spiritual and mental beauty treatment. God is taking away the smell of Moab and placing the essence of the palace within you. If you skip this step, you'll arrive before the king smelling of the world. Use this time to study, to pray, and to understand who you truly are. A woman who knows who she is isn't intimidated by the opinions of those who are nobody. Develop your wisdom while no one is applauding or watching you right now. Anonymity is the greatest gift God gives to those He intends to exalt. In the silence of the desert, you build the structure that will sustain your success. Most women spend their waiting time complaining about what they don't yet have. Esther used the waiting time to become the woman the king could not ignore. Change your focus. Stop looking at who left and look at who is inside you. The Holy Spirit wants to be your personal mentor during this time of total isolation. Emerge through this phase with an authority that makes even the demons tremble when you speak. Esther's perfume was her surrender and her strategic knowledge of life. She learned to listen, to observe, and to wait for the right moment to act in a crisis. You only learn this when you have no one to distract you with nonsense today. Take advantage of the fact that your phone is silent and start reading the books that God wants you to read. Your emotional intelligence is being forged in the fire of this necessary isolation. Have you been using this time to prepare or just to count the days? Have you ever considered that the door hasn't opened yet because you still smell of the past? Begin your spiritual oil and perfume treatment seriously today. Write in the comments, "I am preparing," and change your posture now. Next, understand why solitude is the only path to true peace. Being alone is a geographical state. Feeling lonely is a state of mind. Loneliness is a lack that enslaves you. Solitude is a freedom that crowns you. Jesus sought isolation not because He was rejected, but because He was focused. He knew that true strength comes from the place where only you and the Father are present. As long as you are afraid of being alone, you will never be truly free. Solitude happens when you finally make peace with your own history. You no longer need noise to drown out the cries of your guilty conscience. Can you look in the mirror and smile at the woman you are becoming? At this level, the presence of other people is a bonus, but never a necessity. You become self-sufficient in God, and that is the most attractive thing in the world. Women who master solitude will seem dangerous because they cannot be bought. They don't accept half-hearted relationships just to have someone in a photo album. They prefer to sleep alone and in peace rather than accompanied and in constant conflict. This internal security creates an aura of mystery and respect that no one can break. When you don't need anyone, the right people start fighting for you. Silence ceases to be an enemy and becomes your most loyal advisor. It is there that you receive the ideas that will change your financial and spiritual life. God doesn't speak in the midst of chaos. He whispers in the privacy of your room today. Learn to cherish your alone time as Jesus cherished the early mornings on the mountain. That's where battles are won before they even begin in the real world. Can you now go a whole day without your cell phone and television in peace? Does the silence in your home force you to call someone just to hear noise? The solitude test is what determines whether you are ready to lead or be led. Add a mountain emoji if you're seeking that level of inner strength. Now see how this healing generates a new type of aggressive and holy magnetism. The healing you receive in isolation changes the frequency of your soul forever. You stop emitting the neediness and desperation signal that attracts predators today. Now, you emit a signal of fullness and authority that attracts purpose. Ruth's Boaz did not appear while she was weeping in the corners of Moab. He appeared while she was working hard in the field, focused on her mission. The new magnetism isn't about makeup or clothes. It's about real spiritual weight. There are women who walk into a room and the atmosphere changes without them saying a word. This is the result of months or years of isolation spent developing character and faith. You begin to attract destination connections that will take you to the next level. God will bring you people who don't want to use you, but who want to build with you. Get ready. When this period is over, the right people will come like a magnet, but they will find a woman who has golden filters and doesn't accept just anyone. You'll be able to spot a wolf in sheep's clothing in 5 minutes of conversation. Loneliness has given you a spiritual X-ray vision that will save you from many pitfalls. Trust that God is carefully selecting those who will have the honor of walking with you. A healed woman doesn't chase butterflies. She tends to her own garden, and the most beautiful garden in the kingdom of God is the one that has been watered with tears of loneliness. Don't try to speed up God's clock. Let the work be complete and perfect. If you leave too early, you'll end up attracting people who still belong to the past. The magnetism of grace is silent, but it is the most powerful force in the universe today. Do you believe that God is preparing a banquet for you in the presence of your enemies? Is your isolation today the secret to your public prominence tomorrow morning? Keep your faith unwavering and refuse to lower your standards because of haste. Write, "I attract what is holy" in the comments if you believe in this promise. Finally, understand the uncomfortable purpose of all this silence you are experiencing now. We've reached the end, and now you have a brutal decision to make before God. You can keep running away from loneliness and repeat the same cycles of pain and tears, or you can embrace isolation as your war training for victory. There is no middle ground. Either you face the desert, or you die in slavery in Egypt. The choice is yours, but remember that God's timing doesn't wait for the indecisive. God's silence today is not an absence. It is proof of His trust in you. He believes you are strong enough to endure the emptiness without selling out. Leave this video with the decision made to never beg for anything from anyone again. Your loneliness may seem strange to many, but it's the sign that you've been set apart. Honor this time. Honor this process, and honor the God who isolated you to save you. I want to invite you to take a powerful step and join us now. Following this channel is not an invitation for entertainment, but for real transformation. Our community is for women who are tired of being victims and have chosen to be strong. If you feel this video was a necessary reality check, subscribe. By following us, you're deciding that your growth is your absolute priority today. Click the follow button now and show the algorithm that you want wisdom. Your support helps ensure this message reaches that woman who is about to give up. Be God's channel to warn her that isolation is the path to ruin. Thank you for enduring these harsh truths until the end of this message. You have proven that you have the necessary strength to reach where God has planned for you. Stay at peace, but remain constantly alert to the pitfalls of emotional neediness. Don't trade your solitude for a moment of pointless noise. See you in the next video, where we'll continue forging your new identity. See you later. And remember, the desert is optional, but the throne is only for those who cross it. A big hug, and may the Lord's strength be your only companion today.